Hello, Disney music lovers, and it's time for another update. This is our October 2021 update, and it's that time of year again. Brian, what are you going as?
For Halloween.
Yeah.
I am gonna go as one of the Skrinks from Emo and the Detectives.
Well, I'd like to wish everyone... I don't remember that.
Crickets. Oh, Emo and the Detectives. You know, the guy with the watch who hypnotized Brian Russell on the bus.
I've seen the movie, but it's been a while.
He's wearing a really fancy plaid suit and kind of a geeky looking guy.
Well,
so it's perfect for me.
Yeah, geeky. Yeah, I see it. Well, guess what? It's almost Halloween. It'll be Halloween in 31 days. And so I thought we'd wish everybody a happy Halloween to start off this episode. And I just recently added a bunch of new tracks to Chapter 11, which is the original Fantasyland. I have Fantasyland divided into two chapters. The first chapter covers 55 to 82, basically. And then the new Fantasyland chapter, which I'm working on now, covers the 83 new Fantasyland remodel up to the present. So we're going to be taking a look at all the tracks I added last month for the original Fantasyland. But before we get to that, we're going to do our shameless plugs. Yes. What is this, Pat Re-O-On? What is this, Brian?
Patreon is the way you guys... you Disney music fans, you lovers of the Disneyland Magical Audio Tour, Song of the Day, everything Chris puts out there. This is a way for you guys to financially support that. It does cost money for Chris to upgrade his equipment and make sure everything's the latest and greatest. You know, internet service fees, plumbing. All sorts of things require money, so
medical bills from the stress that I endure.
Hopefully not too much. Yeah, so you sign up on patreon.com/DisneyChris and choose one of our donation levels. We have a $1, $5, $10, $25 level, and each one has corresponding rewards that Chris will send you out on a monthly basis. So contribute to the magic.
Another way you can help support us is by purchasing some of our special designed merchandise. We have everything. Notebooks, t-shirts, mugs, stickers. Not pictured, we have beach towels, sippy cups, tumblers, tote bags. And if there's something we don't have and you'd like it, let us know. Like, we didn't have beach towels, and someone asked us if we could do a beach towel, so we added it. So just let us know, because there are other options available. And it's available in two different designs, either the Compass DisneyChris.com or our podcast, Dateline Jiminy Cricket's design. And to get to our store, you go to jcpodcast.threadless.com. And we're also on Facebook. And we have a Facebook group called Jiminy Cricket's Podcast. And if you're on Facebook, check us out. Send us a request to join. And we'll add you to our roster of Cricketeers. And what is this all about, Brian?
Instagram, follow us there, DisneyChris_JC_podcast. And there I share with you guys tons of great Disneyland images. Right now, I'm actually putting quite a few Walt Disney World images up. Hopefully you've been following along during this month. You've seen a lot of those to celebrate Walt Disney World's 50th anniversary, but just lots of great Disney fun photos and updates to the podcast and things. So follow us there, interact with us, comment, chat. And I'm also on Instagram at Keeping Walt in Disney. And I have a good time sharing a lot of the things I share on Disney Chris _JC _podcast, as well as some fun things from my collection. And every couple of weeks we do a Disney live chat. We pick a live action film and go live, and me and my friend Jared at Every Disney Flick, we get together and just break down some great classic films. So good times.
We also have a podcast we call Jiminy Crickets, and this is an audio podcast. And recently we had an episode a couple months ago on the original Fantasyland Dark rides, which is actually what we're going to be talking about today. And we did a two-part extensive look at Alice in Wonderland. And coming very soon, we're going to do a 20th anniversary tribute to Tokyo Disney Sea. And to listen to these and all of our past shows, you can go to jcricketspodcast.blogspot.com, or you can find us on Apple Music and all the regular places. We have two other podcasts. One is called Dateline Jiminy Crickets, which is on our YouTube channel. It's an audio-visual show, which we release about once a month. And to get there, you go to our YouTube channel, which is DisneyChris.com, spelled out DOTCOM. Or, if you are a Patreon subscriber, at the $5 level or higher, we have an exclusive podcast just for you called Down the Rabbit Hole. What's this look like, Brian? What could this be?
This is the Disney Song of the Day. Halloween's version. Yeah. Oh, is this what you're going to do in October? Sweet. The spooky Song of the Day countdown to Halloween. Awesome. So I'm sure you're going to pick some great Halloween
well, I sort of
tunes.
do an every other year thing. Every other year I do just basic Halloween, generic, well, not generic, but Disney Halloween, general Halloween. And then every other year I do villains. And this year I'm doing villain songs. So each day in October will be a song about a famous Disney villain. So that'll be fun.
Well, hopefully you have my favorite Headless Horseman song. Something to do with Ichabod Crane. You'll have to find out.
You'll have to wait and see. Now, if you are someone who uses mostly mobile devices to use the internet, you'd like to check out our mobile-friendly version of the Magical Audio Tour, which you can find at DisneyChris.com/311. It's not an app. You have to go to a browser, enter this URL, or you can go to my homepage at DisneyChris.com, and you can click on it from there, and it's a much easier to navigate version of the audio tour for those who use mobile devices. And now, are you ready? Let's get on to the Magical Audio Tour.
I'm ready to go through the drawbridge and enter a wonderful realm of fantasy, a kingdom of fantasy, if you will.
Why don't you read this to our audience, Brian?
All right, I will do that. If you can just maximize the window there.
Oh, sure.
Hey, all right. A kingdom of fantasy, the original Fantasyland, where we visit Walt Disney's original land of imagination, hopes, and dreams, an enchanted domain dedicated to the young and young at heart. Here in this medieval kingdom, the age of chivalry, fairy tales, and make-believe are reborn, and your dreams really do come true. Yes, they do.
So, like I said, all of the tracks that I'm going to be talking to you about were added over the course of September, and now this chapter is fully updated. There are no coming soon tracks left. Everything is on the page until when and if I ever get more material. That's why I never say it's finished, but it's finished for now. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, once they cut Peter Pan out and put something else in and have a soundtrack for that new attraction, then you'll make an addition, right?
Well,
Which
no,
will never happen.
That will go on the new Fantasyland chapter, so no.
Oh, this is the original. Okay.
Yeah, so that wouldn't
This is old school. Before we were even born. Well,
no.
Yeah.
I remember the original. I was about 9 or 10 when it closed.
Oh yeah, so I was 8. Yeah.
But you never saw it.
I never went. My first trip to Fantasyland or Disneyland was in '83 after the remodel.
So here's the chapter. Now, several of these tracks were already available.
Yeah, I think 18 is your first.
So I'm only going to talk about the new ones that were just recently added and explain what they are, so you can go check them out whenever you like. So, yes, the first one is number 18, which is music representing the Tinkerbell toy shop. Now, I must confess, this is not authentic music. Somebody online, a friend of mine, Joshua, was mistaken in thinking that I found the authentic music that was played in the toy shop. I don't know that if there was any music played in there, but I found music from the proper time era, probably from the early 60s, and it's all music about toys, like March of the Toys and the Parade of Wooden Soldiers and, you know, Toyland, songs like that. So it's all like, it definitely has that mid-century sound to it. So it's definitely fitting to represent a toy shop from that era. But I have to admit, in some cases when the real audio was not available, I used, you know, stuff representative of it. Now the next track, number 20, you may not know this, but in the early years of Disneyland, they didn't have, except on special occasions, walk around Disney characters. For the everyday, they had sort of the citizens of Disneyland, and they fit the theming of each individual land. So in Fantasyland, they had a clown, and they actually had a court jester who rode around on a unicycle and did juggling and goofed around. So I found some sort of medieval sounding, you know, royal court jester music, and I added the sound effects of people clapping and laughing and oohing and awing, as well as magic tricks. So this again is a reenactment.
Did you take some music from the court jester movie with Danny Kaye and Glynis Johns?
No, because it didn't sound like the right.
Yeah,
it sounded
you were sending me clips of that.
Yeah, that when I was looking for music, that came up, but it's too Broadway. It wasn't the right sound.
Yeah.
So the Fantasyland Royal Brass, I mean, you can see what it was. It's pictured right here. It's just basically a brass group that played in the castle courtyard area. And I just found a bunch of sort of medieval, royal-sounding songs from around the, you know, late 50s, early 60s. It has that sound quality to it. So again, not authentic, but this is sort of a reenactment of what it might have sounded like. So this is our first authentic thing. So this is based on, I recently had a little chat with Christopher Merritt on our Dateline show, and he actually was involved in redesigning the castle in 2007. And so it's heavily based on the original. And when they did the original, when they did the new one, they made a video, like an animated presentation, computer animated, of the original version. So I used that video to replicate what the original walkthrough would have sounded like. I sort of improved upon that video. So the next track is the album. I have a bunch of record albums that Brian actually shared with me, and I cleaned them up, did some, tinkering to make them sound better.
Yeah, took out all the clicks and pops of my old vinyl.
And background noise. And so This is the 1959 Mary Martin narrated story of Sleeping Beauty. And I have several of those story albums throughout this chapter. Excuse me, I just had dinner. So
hiccups.
So the King Arthur Carousel, this is a replacement. This was on the site, but I actually had sort of a replica, like what it would have sounded like, and this is the real deal, folks. This is the actual music from the original King Arthur Carousel. So when I do get the real thing, I do replace it. So if I ever have something like this that's a stand-in, if I ever get the real music, it will be replaced. So usually these are stand-ins until the real deal comes along. So this is the real music. It's almost 30 minutes of carousel music that you would have heard up until about 1968, 55 to 68 at the King Arthur Carousel. And none of it is Disney music, by the way. They didn't start playing Disney music until the late 60s. And this is what this is. I only have 2 songs, but this is the 1968 redone version of the Fantasyland band organ. It has Chim Chim Cheree and It's a Small World. And actually, for those who are paying attention, the band organ that used to be at Disneyland is now at Tokyo Disneyland, still operating. So if you hear the music at the Tokyo Disneyland Carousel, that's the music that used to play in California up until 1983 when Tokyo Disneyland opened.
They just swiped it, huh?
They took that and then they redid the one in California because they got a new one for Dumbo, and they used that one for both Dumbo and the Carousel.
Okay, cool.
And that's on the other chapter. So, Snow White's Wishing Well, I replaced with the original soundtrack version. The version that you hear now was recorded by Adriana Caselotti, the original voice of Snow White, who was still alive in 1983. She re-recorded it, and they redid it. But originally, when the Wishing Well opened, they had the original soundtrack music playing, so that's what this is. Now, I also added the ride-through reenactments of all the original dark rides pre-1983. So, this is the first of those, Snow White and Her Adventures. It wasn't originally called Scary Adventures. So this, if you listen to this, it's basically what it would have sounded like on the original pre-1983 version if you were riding through the attraction. Now this track are just all the best songs from Snow White, not original soundtrack versions, all cover versions. I did that for each dark ride. I did like a little collection of cover versions of all the songs from each film represented. And again, same thing with Peter Pan Flight. This is a reenactment of the original attraction. And then again, here are the songs from Peter Pan, all cover versions. This represents the original Mad Hatter hat shop, and what you hear is the Unbirthday song and the sound of them embroidering the back of your Mickey ears. And then the Mad Hatter teacups, which originally were behind the carousel, and they didn't play the music you hear today, which is from the soundtrack. I just picked a version of March of the Cards and the sound of the whirling cups to represent this. Welch's Grape
Had to
Juice
get clever
Bar.
there, huh?
Yeah, had to get inventive. Welch's Grape Juice Bar, I have the music from the Pastoral sequence from Fantasia. They had a mural inside that depicted that sequence, which was about the god of wine,
Bacchus.
Yeah. And then I have 3 vintage Welch's grape juice commercials.
Oh, those are fun. Yeah, you sent a clip of those to me.
Fantasyland Art Corner. A frequent guest was the big musketeer Roy Williams, and he would draw pictures as shown here. And so I have a song called Roy, Quick on the Draw.
I think that's one of the coolest things of Disneyland back in the day, how the actors would show up in the park and do little things like that. That's so fun.
So the music I have for the Fantasyland Pearly Band is authentic. It was recorded by Jack Wagner, and they were going to do an album, but they didn't end up doing one. But some of the recordings that were done were leaked several years ago from Jack Wagner's personal collection. So this is the authentic Pearly Band. Fantasy Foods was 2 outdoor kiosks that served food, and then they had these tables with umbrellas all around throughout Fantasyland. There were 2 of these little circus tents, one on each side, one near Mr. Toad and one near the Fantasyland Theater on the opposite side. And, you know, they sold hamburgers and hot dogs and soda and french fries. And so they actually had an area loop that played inside as you were ordering your food. And it was basically music from animated film, soundtracks, songs, with all of the vocals extracted. So just the instrumentations. So this is about 40 minutes of really well-known songs from the animated features without the lyrics, just the music. And this is what you would hear when you were ordering your hot dog in Fantasyland.
Seems like they had a lot more seating back then than they do today. It's really tough to find a place to sit down and enjoy a churro.
Well, it was all outside. There was no indoor place to sit, so every table was outdoor. There was no village house or anything.
That is an improvement today. Okay.
Mickey Mouse Theater. This was already on the site, but I did some improvements. Basically, the soundtrack for 3 classic shorts. Mickey's well, actually, I need to rewrite this. I'm just realizing it now, because now it's actually the band concert Through the Mirror and Orphans Benefit. I took out Mickey's trailer and put in Orphans Benefit instead. And then Fantasyland Theater, Mickey Mouse Club 3D Jamboree. It's basically what was there before, but I cleaned it up. I did some cleaning. And basically it's 2 3D cartoons that were actually produced in 3D for theaters originally, which are Melody and Working for Peanuts. Both of those shorts were originally produced in 3D. And then they showed them as part of the Mickey Mouse Club 3D Jamboree. So I have the audio from those, plus plus some Mickey Mouse Club songs mixed in. Fantasyland Theater. This was stuff that was inside the Fantasyland Theater, and two of the things I already had, but I added this Puppetin Review, which was a really famous puppet marionette guy, and he did a live show for a short period in the Fantasyland Theater. So this is music that he used for his puppet shows.
Never even heard of that guy before. That's cool that
He's
it's there.
French. He was French. It's more
Okay.
known in France. He was on the Ed Sullivan Show a few times and things like that.
Oh.
The Fantasyland that never was. These are all attractions that were thought about, sketched out, proposed, but never built. And I just sort of came up with ideas for music to sort of represent these things that never existed. And also sort of tried to come up with pictures to represent these things that never got built. So, the first one, Lilliputian Land, was the precursor to Storybook Land. It was supposed to be a little miniature village. Monstro the Whale Shoot the Chutes was supposed to be like a waterfall. You go down the tongue of Monstro, and it evolved into just sailing through to get to Storybook Land. But originally it was supposed to be a high-speed shoot the chutes type ride. Dunk Bumps was supposed to be like bumper boats themed to Donald Duck. There was supposed to be an underwater aquarium where you went inside a crocodile's mouth and you went underground and you saw, sea life. The old mill was supposed to be a Ferris wheel that eventually got built at Disneyland Paris. So this is the one from Disneyland Paris, but originally it was supposed to be built at Disneyland years before that. Rock Candy Mountain was supposed to be a sort of a candy-themed mountain that was part of Storybook Land.
Did you do the Burl Ives version of that song there?
Yes, I did.
All right.
Rainbow Road to Oz was supposed to be a Wizard of Oz themed indoor attraction in Fantasyland, which would have gone where It's a Small World is today.
I get a question for you. That photo, did you colorize that from the
No.
Mickey Mouse Club still?
That was actually a color photo from that.
Wow, really?
Yeah, there's a few of them.
That's awesome, because I've only ever seen that in black
And white. Yeah, I have a
TV,
few.
yeah.
I have a few color pictures of that.
That's so cool. Wow, awesome.
International Land. They had an international street, but then they thought, before they built the Matterhorn, they thought about putting an international land in that area. And then there was supposed to be, this was designed by Mark Davis, an attraction called the Enchanted Snow Palace that never got built. But eventually it sort of evolved over decades. I mean, 5 decades or more into the
Right.
Frozen attraction at Epcot. There was supposed to be a Fantasia attraction in Fantasyland. And also the Tony Baxter designed Mary Poppins Carousel that never got built. And then there was Dumbo's Storybook Circus, which was supposed to go where the Fantasyland Theater behind Storybook Land is now. That never got built. So those are all things, and I found music to represent all these things. So then I have music from the Dumbo soundtrack to represent the flying elephants. This is new. I replaced what I had before with the original version of the narration, which actually wasn't added until the mid-60s. Originally there was no audio on board, but this is the original version once they did add audio to the attraction in the 60s. And it's Timothy narrating it instead of the ringmaster. The Canal Boats of the World, the original boat ride before it became Storybook Land. I just have a bunch of songs from national anthems. And then Storybook Land Grotto area music. This is the area music in the queue. And then Storybook Land Canal Boats. This is the tour of the attraction as it was pre-90s. Before they added Agrabah and Little Mermaid and all those things. This is the original version. And we actually have a new hostess. Ruthie is our hostess for this
Yeah, she
version.
sure did that. Yeah.
Now, these are all the things represented in Storybook Land, and I am representing them through the Disneyland Storybook albums, because it's part of Storybook Land. So I have all the things represented in Storybook Land represented with the Disneyland Story Records. And Brian sent all of these to me. So, well, most of them. So I have the story of the Three Little Pigs.
Yeah, I think you already had that one.
That one he didn't send me, but he did send me most of them.
I don't even have that in my collection, so I'm going to have to look for that.
Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, Pinocchio, Dumbo. This is another one. This is an older one. This is from, like, when the movie came out.
Yeah, so, that's only on a
Decca
RCA
Records.
Victor 78 set, I think.
Yeah. So this is Wind in the Willows, Cinderella, Alice in Wonderland, and Peter Pan. Now, the other two things represented don't have albums, so I just used the audio from the actual shorts. Lullaby Land and The Old Mill. They were both silly symphonies, so I just have the audio from both of those shorts to represent these two things in Storybook Land.
Yeah, good choice.
Then I have the audio to represent Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, just like I had for Peter Pan and for Snow White. Then, because there's only really one song from The Wind in the Willows, I have a cover version of the song, the Merrily song. It's actually sung by Doris Day and Donald O'Connor.
Oh, fun. That's a good version.
Donald O'Connor from Singin' in the Rain.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have The Chicken of the Sea, and I have a version of A Pirate's Life sung by Mitch Miller and the Pied Pipers. And then for Long John Silver and Polly Parrott, I have another Little Golden Record song performed by Thurl Ravenscroft to represent that. And then I actually have a Vintage Chicken of the Sea commercial,
which I could not get out of my head for a week after you sent me a clip of that.
Very catchy. And then I have, to represent Skull Rock, I have authentic stuff here. But I only have two songs. There was a long area loop that the only thing that I know about it is somebody did a live recording of it. And based on the live recording, a friend of mine hunted down the source materials for two of the songs in that two out of the three songs in that live recordings. So these are the real songs you would have heard, but it's only two of them. Now, the Alice in Wonderland grand opening, I just found some music that sort of seemed right. I don't have the real audio for that, but it's just sort of music to represent it. And then this is authentic. This is the original version of Alice in Wonderland. All the real sound effects and music and everything used. And then again, I have the music, and this is all from the Camerata album from '57. All the songs from Alice in Wonderland. Now, I redid this. This was already on the site, but I was a little more authentic because I actually had a program from this. And using the program, I was sort of better able to deduce what music. And I sort of came up with the conclusion that they must have had the Disneyland band playing the music for this. Because a lot of the songs mentioned in that program were songs on the 1956 Disneyland Band album. So I sort of took the songs from that album that sounded circus-like and put them together to create this, because this is probably more authentic to what you would have heard at the Mickey Mouse Club Circus. The Disneyland Railroad. I just did my normal thing that I do for the railroad, but instead of using the Jack Wagner announcements, I have an older announcement that says the Disneyland and Santa Fe Railroad, which I think might be Ward Kimball doing the announcement. It sounds like him. I might be wrong, but it's definitely from the earlier days when this would have opened, from the 50s.
Yeah, you'd be a good candidate for it. That's for sure.
So this whole section was already on the site, and this is just stuff representing that part of Fantasyland that sort of borders Tomorrowland. So it sort of touches the Tomorrowland theming a little bit. So the Skyway dedication ceremony is a clip from the episode of the Disneyland TV show called Disneyland USA, where they talk about the opening of the Skyway. And then I have a little piece of Swiss polka music that sort of matched really well with it to sort of make it longer. And this is the same as what I had on the site already, the Swiss Chalet, but I improved the audio quality of it. Holiday Hill, I had to be inventive. I came up with the idea that this was sort of a lover's lane. So I have three sort of 1950s kind of romantic, early rock and roll style songs. The one that sort of was perfect for it was the song Blueberry Hill. Yeah, and then I have Twilight Time and Blue Moon. And they're all instrumental versions of the songs, kind of in that same early 50s early rock and roll 1950s style. Moving along, Fred Burry's Swiss Yodeler was already here, but I cleaned it up and made it better. And the Fantasyland Polka Band, same thing. This is a better, new and improved version. Don't worry, folks, we're getting to the end here. We're in the hundreds. Walt Disney and the New York World's Fair. This is Walt Disney doing a little introduction to It's a Small World. This is actually a demo recording, an early recording of the song before they did the final soundtrack version. And this is recording sessions, so it's weird to hear some of these things isolated, like you can hear the laughing hyena by himself and things like that. And then these are the instrumentals from the World's Fair. Pretty self-explanatory. Terry?
But I love how you did that. I've heard them already, and it's really cool to hear everything isolated.
So this is the authentic audio from the grand opening ceremonies. It's only a brief portion of it, but it has Walt Disney saying a few remarks, and it's from the actual opening day Disneyland ceremony. Then I have the Small World Clock, which is from the Disneyland Around the Seasons, where Walt is talking about the clock. Mm-hmm. He says, the clock actually performs the time. And then this is new and improved.
One of my favorite things to do in Disneyland is to sit there and watch that.
This is a new and improved ride through of the entire attraction. Almost 30 minutes. The whole ride, beginning to end. Much improved. I'm very proud of this. This is the definitive ride through of It's a Small World in my mind.
Yeah. It's awesome. Because when you actually ride through, it doesn't last 28 minutes. But no, you don't even get to hear all the
because
music.
You just pass by real quick. But this, you get to hear each piece of music. So then I have it all separated, and these are just instrumentals with no vocals of each room, basically. You know, you've got the Scandinavia, Europe, Asia, each room throughout the attraction. Now, this was something I added sort of last minute. I came up with this idea to do a section of Fantasyland in Florida. And this is all early stuff from the 70s, basically. So that's why it belongs here and not on the other chapter. So I have a little travelogue from the travelogue called A Dream Called Walt Disney World. This is where they talk about Fantasyland. Then I have the music from King Stephen's Banquet Hall. This is the real loop, and it took me forever to clean this up. Then I have the original Mickey Mouse review, the English version. Then I have the queue area music from the original Walt Disney World Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. This is the queue area music and announcements with Peter Renaday as Captain Nemo from 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. And then this is a small portion of the Walt Disney World queue music, and then a song performed by Julie Andrews for the Walt Disney World grand opening called A World Full of Love. And here she is writing It's a Small World, which she does as she sings the song. So that's it, Brian.
Yay.
We made it. Can you believe we made it in that short a time through all those editions? 41 minutes.
You raced through it.
Yeah, well, you
Unlike
told me you
what
only
we'll
had an
do
hour.
in Fantasyland when we go next year. We're not going to race through it.
No, we'll take our time.
Yeah, absolutely we will. We're looking forward to that trip. We're already in the early planning stages. I'm trying to get us a room at the Disneyland Hotel and tickets to D23. So if you're all out there next year, you'll be able to meet us in person.
Yes, we plan to go to the convention all 3 days. And we're going to do 4 days
even spend
at
a day at
Disney.
Knott's Berry Farm.
And we're
I'm
even
really
going to do a day at Knott's Berry Farm, yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll get to
You
see
and Chris Merritt, your interview, you and Ruthie, you guys really got into a lot of neat Knott's Berry Farm history. That was really fun. If you haven't heard that interview yet, you guys, go back. It's on this same channel.
Yes. That's just what I was going to say.
Scroll up a couple videos, maybe just one video, and listen to that interview.
It's the one right before this one.
Yeah.
Well, I've seen a peanut stand. I've heard a rubber band. I've seen a needle that winked its eye.
But I'd be done seeing about
Not
everything till... You've never seen an elephant fly? Okay. Well,
I've seen a house fly.
I've seen all that too.
I've seen a dragonfly. I've seen a polka dot railroad tie.
Yeah, those
I've seen
are
a
rare.
front porch swing. I've heard a diamond ring. So,
I laugh until I thought I'd die. Wow.
Don't do that. You brought the party down.
Okay. Hey, we're gonna do Dumbo later this year, right? Yeah.
We are, because it's gonna be the what is it? The 80th anniversary of Dumbo.
70th.
No,
80th. Yeah,
1941.
1941. 80. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Has it been
Well,
that long?
Time flies.
That it does. That it does. Well, it's my pleasure to join you on this today, Chris. I enjoyed it. I love hearing what you have to say about all of these tracks. Kind of makes me look forward to listening to them and know a little bit of background and some of the effort that you have to put in to put this magical chapter together.
Well,
so I appreciate it.
Speaking of magical, the next chapter that I am already working on is Chapter 12, which is the new Fantasyland. So I'm doing all the 1983 to the present tracks. So that's coming probably when I do next month's vlog. I'll have more to tell you about that for November. So stay tuned. And we will see you all later, and thanks for joining us. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everybody.